that is the basis of a problem, is that we're not even, the expectation that I'm supposed to live according to a priest was never put in place by us. We've never put rabbis on that level. That's a non-Jewish thing. You know, some Jews attack me for that, and they're basically preaching a Christianity at me, because that's how Christians treat their holy men. But Jews have a rabbi? Holy? What makes me holy? Nothing. I'm not holy.
I agree with that.
Thank you. And I can't be held to those standards. I never asked to be. It was never imposed upon. We don't raise priests. We raise, Torah students.
Okay, Greg writes, I'm sure we would all agree that we have far too many Hispanics in both our states who live in their own conclaves, do not learn English, continue their own cultural predispositions in the face of American demands for immigrants to integrate into our broader culture. Now we also have Islamic conclaves, we have Russian conclaves, Chinese conclaves, Vietnamese conclaves. So who needs these Orthodox Jewish conclaves?
I don't agree with him at all. I don't agree with him at all. What's wrong with having... What? Okay.
What about you walk into a Hispanic neighborhood and all the signs are in Spanish?
What's wrong with that? Here's my thing. There's two theories. There's the melting pot and the mixing bowl salad, or whatever they call it. Mixed
salad.
I don't know what it's called.
Tossed salad.
Who said America must be a melting pot? I don't agree with that. And where is that written in the Constitution that we have to be a melting pot? Mm-hmm. Where does it say that? I see a Jewish neighborhood. I think, great. I'm not offended by it. I'm not offended by a Mexican neighborhood. I'm not offended by a black neighborhood. What are the other ones out there?
Russian, Chinese,
Russian.
Ethiopian.
I don't get offended by a Russian neighborhood. What? Vietnamese? Whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
You can often get a great massage in a Chinese neighborhood.
Or an Italian neighborhood. I mean, why? The question, I think, is on Greg. Why are you offended? Greg, this is a question for you. For real. Why are you offended when you see people don't assimilate into this melting pot that you expect them to? Where does that come from? It doesn't say in the Constitution. I thought my interpretation of America was, come to us, what is it, send me your
tired, you're poor,
you're tired,
masses,
come
yearning to be free.
Yearning to be free from what you're not allowed to do over there. And what they weren't allowed to do wherever they came from was practice the religion of their choice. And they came here. This country was built by people who were the victims of religious oppression in Europe. Mm-hmm. That's what this country's about. They didn't come here to melting pot. They came in here to be that which they didn't want to melt into over there.
Yeah.
Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah.
This is a country that's a mixing bowl with croutons. I'm a crouton. Okay? And the Mexicans in the next neighborhood are croutons. Okay? Well, they might be more like nachos. Okay, bad joke. And that's what we are. Why does that offend anybody? That's what's called being an American.
Greg writes, so far I've yet to hear you guys discuss anything of a transcendental nature or metaphysical or ontological. Your epistemology seems to be limited to read the Torah. Rabbi, would you say that your epistemology seems to be limited to read the Torah?
I don't even know what that... Piss on what?
Do you know what epistemology means?
No, I don't.
You know what ontological means?
Isn't that like a cancer doctor? When somebody studies cancer? I don't know. The reason why we don't do these things is I don't know what they are. Okay? I have like a 3rd grade secular education, all right? I don't know what these words are.
Well, sorry that we're not ontological or epistemological enough. Ontological means final or meaning, and epistemology means how do we know what we know. I'm just going to, there's the ontological argument for God's existence. So, ontology comes from Greek, and it means the essence. It's the philosophical study of the nature of being, existence, or reality in general, as well as the basic categories of being and their relations. Traditionally listed as a part of the major branch of philosophy known as metaphysics, ontology deals with questions concerning what entities exist or can be said to exist, how such entities can be grouped, related within a hierarchy, subdivided according to similarities and differences. So ontology comes from the Greeks. They basically invented philosophy. So
No, they didn't invent it.
they did.
No, they didn't. You know what they did? They invented it perhaps for the Western civilization. We didn't have philosophy, probably.
No, there's very little philosophy in the.
Come on! Torah is chock full of philosophy. The Torah philosophy, Torah philosophy is the backbone of the oral Torah. The oral Torah was given to the Jews in 2448. Greeks came to Eretz Israel in 3448. For exactly 1,000 years, Jews had philosophy given to them and prescribed and studied and whatever.
It's not philosophy. It's just like practical guidance to day-to-day life.
Philosophy. We have philosophy.
Why do you say it's philosophy?
Why would I say it's not?
That's not how a logical argument. It's not philosophical. The Torah is not. It's not concerned with ontology and epistemology and like all these like Greek concerns which constitute philosophy. The Torah is practical guidance and direction. Torah means teaching, so it's teaching about how to live your life. It's not about philosophical contemplation. There are elements of philosophy in the Torah and in the Bible, but philosophy is basically outside the essentials of Torah and Judaism. Judaism is primarily a system of behavior and a very practical guide to life. There is Jewish philosophy, but the essence of Judaism is in philosophy. So when you go to a church, you'll often hear the intellectuals there talk about, how do you reconcile the existence of an all-powerful God with suffering and all these other philosophical issues. But Jews tend to
I completely
practical.
disagree. I'm going to say you're wrong.
Okay.
Because the questions that you're going to start mentioning, right? Like, how do you do this? These are the questions that Jews were dealing with in base midrashes, starting in the desert for 40 years, for the next 1,000 years, before Alexander of Macedonia came to Eretz Israel, and hello, Western civilization. Prior to our exposure to Western civilization, we were doing quite nicely answering up all the philosophical questions that a person might have, understanding why were created, why did God give the Torah, why was the universe created. All of these things are part of our oral tradition, and we've always had these things long before the Greeks arrived.
Why are there Jews?
Why are there Jews? Do you want me to go through all this right now? This is a whole
Just tell us
conversation.
why are there Jews? What's the purpose of Jews?
I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to explain to you everything. Why did God create anything? That's the first question. Why did God create anything? You have somebody that's, you have a thing that's all has everything. What do you say?
He's got it going on. Hashem's got it going on.
He's omnipotent and omniscient. I don't know what those mean.
All powerful, all knowing.
Right. He's everything. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't take up any space, right? But there's and there is no space yet. There is no concept of space. God does not take up space, but space doesn't even exist. Time and space are elements that God created himself. So prior to the time that he even created anything, we're talking about the fact that there never even was a universe. You have to erase everything. There's no universe, there's no time and space, there's this God which doesn't take up any molecules or atoms. So it's like, okay. And he is everything. And he doesn't need anything other than himself. Right? He doesn't need anything.
Yeah.
So why create anything? Is this just like a big, is he like on drugs and he just likes to be entertained? So he created this universe? I mean, what's going on? So it's brought down there's different reasons. Like you're going to go to sort of Hasidic groups, and you'll get like a different answer than you will from like a Rav Miller.